No, making sense, right?
Yeah.
And always, whenever you get an opportunity, revise, the concept of
Making
Namokar
sense, right?
Mantra,
And
so that it
always,
doesn't
whenever
it registers in your mind. It is very important for us to know what Namokar Mantra stands for. Of course, we should memorize it. All Jains, that's the I would say the lowest common denominator, right? For calling yourself as Jain, at least you should know the Namokar Mantra by heart, right? But that's not everything. What is more important rather is knowing the true meaning of it, and how it how you have internalized it, so that um, you you are provided with the best of circumstances, and anytime you are in trouble, it gives you the required positive vibes that saves you from bad reactions to a worsening situation, right? So that's the whole objective. Okay, let me see. Now I will share my screen in a bit. Okay, let's see. So I can do this, but let me first share the screen on Zoom. Share here, share sound, most important thing. And let's see.
Jaijanendra, you can have a maximum of 5 senses. We all have.
You know about the five senses, right? What are the five senses? The best way to learn or remember them is touch, taste, smell, seeing, and hearing, right? That's the best way. These are the five senses. Why do we have to know? Why do we have to know about the five senses? Is because in Jainism, in biology of Jainism, a jeev is defined, a life form is defined. I should not say jeev, but rather a life form is defined based upon the number of senses they have, right? So you could have we could have been a ekendriya jeev, that is one sense organisms. We could have been beindriya or two indriya jeevs, three indriya jeev, char indriya jeev, panch indriya jeev, depending on the different life forms that we have taken in the past, or those that we'll take in the future. The quick differentiation is we are human beings are all panchendriya jeeves. However, there is one additional differentiating factor which comes with, in addition to the five indriya, and that is the presence of man, or the presence of mind, or a higher advanced manifestation of our chetna, our consciousness, which man is, right? So we are blessed with the power of rationalization. We can differentiate between good and bad. That's what makes us a special type of Panchendri Jeev. We call them Sanghi Panchendri Jeev. Who are we? In this life form as human beings, we are all Sanghi Panchendri. Okay. Sarthak, you have a question, beta?
Can you re-explain Chetna? I forgot it.
Yes, what is Chetna, right? So Chetna is that one gun or quality that, uh, the meaning of it in English, literal meaning is consciousness, right? Every jeev, it is the differentiating quality of a jeev, right? Or something that differentiate a jeev from the other type of dravya, right? So out of the six dravya, the fundamental matter, the one that has the consciousness is jeev, right? All the other five, they do not have any consciousness of their own. Consciousness is that power that gives you that helps you to seek and to observe and to seek, right? You The objective or the purpose of in every atma is janna or dekhna. That janna and dekhna actually is coming from your chetana, right? Your consciousness. Now, interesting thing is, when we say jeev, any life form that a jeev may be in, jeev on its own has chetana. However, when you are born as a lower order animal, like a ekindra jeev or a do indra jeev and teen indra jeev, the expression of that chetana is very minimal. It's almost tends to zero, right? So while your Atma on its own has Chetana, but because of presence of those very high intensity and very uh, dense karma particles, uh, all those coming into fruition, your Chetana is not able to express itself. And because of that, you are not able to, uh, your Atma is not able to realize its full potential, right? Versus as a human being, the chetana that we have is yet expressing itself, is able to exhibit itself in a much better way. Our karma are not as bad as the one that a ekindriya jeev is born with, right? So our chetana is what is expressing out as our mind or as our man, है ना? एंड दैट इज व्हाट वी हैव टू बी अवेयर ऑफ. अगर ऐसे कोई बोलता है क्या एक इंद्रिय जीव में चेतना नहीं होती है, द आंसर इज नो, दे ऑल्सो हैव चेतना. It's just that their chetna is not exhibited. It's hidden. It's so hidden behind those highly dense karmic particles, those bonded karma, that it's not able to express itself. And that's why they behave the way they do behave. Make sense, Sarthak? Okay, give me a second. I'll have to pull my charging cable and I'll be back shortly. Okay, so this that's why Chetna is very important to understand, right? Because it is that Chetna, right? And that expression of Chetna that is giving us the required power to rationalize, to differentiate between good and bad, right? To better understand what is good for us and what is not good for us. Not every being, even not every Panchendri Jeev is born with that kind of expression of Chetna that we are born with, है ना? And what does it mean? I have Chetna and I am Sangi Panchendri, so I should I feel proud about it? Yes, of course. One should feel, I would not say proud, but definitely one should feel humbled with it, that we are born with, out of all, innumerate number of jeeves that exist, we have been blessed to be born with this Chetna, right? Now, it is up to us how we use that chetna, whether we use this chetna for our upliftment, for the towards the attaining emancipation or moksha, or we divert it towards mundane activities of living as a human being, right? And acquiring materialistic things. It's all depends on us, है ना? Okay, so I'll keep going on this because our topic for today is tras and sthavar, है ना? So let's see how much we can cover. Starting with Sthavar. As I mentioned, Sthavar jeeves are those jeeves who cannot move on their own. Okay, and they are ekindri jeeves, basically, one sense organisms.
Have five senses, which are touch, taste, smell, sight, and hearing. We are called Panchendriya Jeev, or five sense organisms. All the flies, mosquitoes, butterflies, and bees are four sense organisms. Ants, termites, scorpions, and bedbugs are three sense organisms, and worms and caterpillars are two sense beings. All these 2 to 5 sense organisms are also called thrust-jeev. But what about one sense organisms? Are there even such beings in the world? The answer is yes, which brings us to today's topic, Sparshan in.
Okay, one more thing that I want to talk about. When we say they are one sense organisms, what sense do they have? Do you know? Which out of the five senses would these beings have? Sarthak, go ahead.
touch,
Exactly, touch. So the order matters, है ना? ऐसा नहीं होगा कि कोई एक वन सेंस ऑर्गेनिज्म है तो उसको सिर्फ आंख होगी. Like they will only have an expression of eyes or the capacity to to see, or just the capacity to hear. Actually, what they will have is, if they are one sense organism, the only sense that they will have is the sense of touch. That's why the order matters. If they are two sense organisms, then the two sensory powers they will have is touch and taste. If they are three, it's touch, taste, and smell likewise. है. So the order, that's why is very important, and that's why we have to remember this order. Remember, I was asking you, right, and then we got digressed. Why does the order matter? Order matters because when we are classifying Ekendriya to Panchendriya Jeev, the order plays into it, right? That's how it works. Okay. Do you have more questions, Sarthak? Okay, I'll play it now.
Indriya, or beings that only have one sense, touch. The air, water, plants, earth, and fire that surround us are all sense organisms. So there are two kinds of Jeev, Thrust Jeev and Sthavar Jeev, and there are 5 types of Sthavar Jeev. First is the earth, or Prithvi Kayak, soil, stones, and mountains.
This is also a very important concept, right? And this is a very interesting concept. So Sthavar Jeev themselves, or rather I should say the Ekendri Jeev themselves, are classified into 5 categories, right? Prithvi Kaik, Jal Kaik, Agni Kaik, Vayu Kaik, Vanaspati Kaik, and which is the one I'm missing? Okay, let's play it. It will come, right? So
all fall under this category. Second is Jalakayak, which means water.
Water.
This category includes ice, water, and rivers. Third is fire, or Agnikayak, which includes fire and candle flame. Fourth is Vayukayak, or the air. Air, storms, and wind all fall under this category too. Lastly is Vanaspatikayak, or the plants.
So let's understand this. When we say Prithvi Kaik, who are Prithvi Kaik microorganisms? Are these the microorganisms that live in the soil, or the soil itself? What do you think?
The organisms that live in the soil?
No, it is soil itself. Okay, because that's where the Jain, as per the Jain tradition, as per our Agam, even soil has on its own is a jeev. It is not a jeev, right? Water on its own is also a jeev. We call it as jalkaik jeev, right? And that's why we there is so much of there is so much of caution that we use while using water. Why? Because of the same reason. Because we treat those natural resources as life form. We should ecologically, if you look at it, it's a very powerful message. We are not just saying that, hey, I want to save the living organisms that live on soil. I'm saying I want to save soil also, because I treat it as a life form. It is a jeev, है ना? Although, Sthavar jeevs are like, those jeevs which it's very difficult to save them, because as we perform our daily conduct, right, our daily duties, it's very hard for us to not to survive without causing any damage to these Sthavar jeevs. Still, in our hearts of heart, we should have this consciousness, this cognizance that we should try to minimize the damage that we cause to the Ekendri jeev also as much as possible, right? And before we do that, we should have awareness of what Ekendriya jeevs are, है ना? So that's what we have to understand. So Prithvi Kaik, Jal Kaik, Agni Kaik, Vayu Kaik, and then Vanaspati Kaik. Right? So obviously Vanaspati Kaik all live on the soil and inside the soil and whatnot. Of course, we have to make arrangements to sustain their life also. But equally important is sustaining the life form that soil is, that ice is, that water is, that rain is. है ना? Okay. One other thought that occurred to me, which I wanted to cover. Yes. So Ekendri Jeev and Sthavar Jeev, people use them interchangeably because the reason being, Ekendri Jeevs are always Sthavar Jeevs. They cannot move on their own. They do not have capacity of moving on their own. One other thing, so Sanghi, when we say we are Sanghi Panchendriya, right? Uh, the power that we have is mind, and in particular we have a mind that is the capability to power of cognizance, or power of reasoning, or power of rationalization. That's what we are blessed with, है ना? Okay, let me keep moving on this.
This is the plants, trees, leaves, and grass. These are also living beings and can feel and touch things. But first, let's hear a story. This is a story about a little bird. Once, a bird was flying in the sky. She was very tired. She could not find a place to sit on the beach. Soon, she saw a tree very far away and sat on it. There were some other birds sitting on the tree too. They started asking the bird, "Why are you so tired and angry, bird?" The bird said, "I live in a nearby forest. There are some humans cutting down the trees in it. They have broken my nest too. Many birds like me became homeless." She burst into tears. Only then came a voice from the sky. "Little bird," that voice was the air, the wind. "Why are you crying? You aren't the only one who is angry at the humans. Take me, for example. I am very polluted due to factories and the smoke of many vehicles. And look at that tree you're sitting on. Humans have been cutting down trees and tearing its leaves for years. See that river over there? That river is where all the city's waste from the factories are being thrown into the water so that it can't be used to drink. And that land below that tree is also very sad. They're cutting down mountains to make new roads to build their own houses, even though it's hurting the earth. The fire is also hurt because of all the unnecessary burning and pain." This story shows that the Sthavarjeev also feel pain, and that we, as human beings, should respect and care for them. Jai Janendra.
Okay. So if I ask you how many types of Sthavar Jeevs are there, the answer is 5 types. है ना? Prithvi का एक, जल का एक, अग्नि का एक, वायु का एक, and वनस्पति का एक. Okay? That's what they are. And we call them Sthavar. We call Ekendriya Jeev as Sthavar Jeev because they cannot move on their own. Make sense? Okay. Now let me play the other part. So if there are Sthavar Jeev, the other category of Jeevs ranging from the 2 sense organisms to 5 sense organisms, all of them we call them as Tras Jeevs, right? Tras Jeevs are those Jeevs who have in addition to the number of sensory senses that they may have, ranging from 2 to 5, they also have the power to move on their own. That's why we call them Tras Jeev. Tras means motile or mobile. They can move on their own. They have the capability to move on their own conviction. Okay, so let me play that video and then we will discuss that as well. Any questions so far? Okay, keep going then.
Jai Janine kids, do you remember the 5 Indri or the 5 senses video in which we learnt about the 5 senses present in our body? Now here is an interesting fact for you. Do you know that some living organisms don't have all 5 senses? Some have 4, some have 3, and some have 2 senses, and such organisms are called Trasjeev in Hindi. What are they called? Trasjeev. Correct. So Trasjeev. What are these Tras organisms? So all the organisms which have 2 to 5 senses except human beings are known as Trasjeevs. Generally, these organisms have the ability to move by themselves. So, the first Trasjeev category is living beings with 5 senses. For example, have you seen an elephant? It has all the 5 senses. Big giant ears to listen, long nose or trunk to smell, eyes to see, tongue to taste, and a huge body covered with grey skin for the sense of touch. Similarly, a fish too has 5 senses. It can also listen, see, etc. Birds like pigeons, peacocks, and animals like elephants, horses, fishes, lions, etc. all have 5 senses. There are some 5-sensed organisms who have man, through which they can think and learn things, just as you can learn and understand from this video. It is possible only because of their man, and these 5-sensed organisms are called Seni Panchendri, meaning 5-sensed vertebrate. Some 5-sensed organisms, such as some water snakes and some special parrots who don't have man, are called Aseni Panchendriya Jeev. They have touch, taste, smell, and sight senses. All the flies, butterflies, bees, mosquitoes, and all other small insects which can fly, they are all 4-sense living beings. So can you tell me, which sensory organ do these 4-sensed beings miss? Come on, quickly, think and tell me. Okay, so have you ever called out to a butterfly or a mosquito? Did they listen to you? No, right? That's because they don't have ears to listen and understand. Butterflies have beautiful eyes. They even have a nose. They can even taste. That's why they extract the nectar from flowers to taste. They also have a sense of touch. They too feel cold and hot. Friends, flies are so small and tiny. Whenever these flies, mosquitoes feel hungry, sometimes they stick to dirty things or sweets and cannot fly from there, and they die. Or sometimes they move to flowers, and in the evening or after sunset, when the flower folds and rests its petals, then these get themselves locked in the flowers. Or sometimes they bite us too, and then by mistake they get killed. The poor little creatures die. Why? Because they don't have the power to understand. Is such a life good? We should understand that our life is very good, since we can not only think good things, we can also do them. As soon as our life gets in danger, we can use self-defense. Now, the living beings with 3 senses, which have the sense of touch, taste, and smell. They are called Teen Indriya Jeev, meaning 3-sensed beings like ants, scorpions, bedbugs, etc. Good. Now tell me, which senses they do not have? So they do not have sense of hearing and sight, but yet they have eyes and we can see their eyes too. But these eyes we see are compound eyes which prevent them from seeing properly. Therefore, they cannot be counted as sensory organs. Only by smelling with the help of their antenna, they can reach their food. Do you know how ants carry food in their small mouth? And sometimes if we walk without looking on the ground, they get crushed under our feet and die. Sometimes we use All Out and Good Night, Mortein or DDT spray to get rid of insects and cockroaches too. All of these kill them. The life of all these creatures is also in extreme danger all the time. Sometimes my heart fills with so much pity and sympathy for these small beings who are not able to save their own lives. Next comes living beings with 2 sensory organs. Those who are able to touch and taste are called Do Indriya Jeev, 2-sensed beings. like worms, caterpillars, etc. So, you saw worms or caterpillars and how they crawl softly? In the rainy season, the poor creatures sometimes die under a vehicle, on the road, and sometimes under our feet. Sometimes, when it moves on plants or leaves, it falls down from there and dies. Actually, we should be very proud and feel very lucky, since because of our good deeds in the past, we have been blessed with all the five senses and we are Seni Panchendriya Jeev. That is, we have man. Don't you think we should make use of it in a meaningful way? So let's repeat what we learned today. We learned Thrus Jeeves, who are the living beings who have 2, 3, 4 or 5 senses. Seni Panchendriya Jeev, living beings with 5 senses and can think. Aseni Panchendriya Jeev, living beings with 5 senses but they can't think. You will remember these, right? Jai Jinendra.
Good concept, right, Sarthak? Okay. Let me ask you a question. I'm sure you would have got curious knowing about all this and trying to understand all the types of jeeves that you have seen and that you see around you, right? So let me ask you this. Uh, I started that all the human beings are five indri jeev, right? They have five indri and then man, right? So uh, uh, that's what human beings are. Let's say there is a human being who is blind. So what is that human being? Is it now a four indri jeev? What do you think, Sar?
Uh, no, because they still have the organ, the eyes.
Okay, Mihika, what do you think?
I think, but they do not have the organ, but they still have the power to see.
Yes, both of you are right. So the organ that we have see outside, which is an expression of our eyes, is just one manifestation of eyes. Eyes doesn't mean it has to be this way, right? A different organisms have different type of eyes and whatnot. What is more important is there are external organs and then there is an internal setup behind this eye that we see, right? The connections, the nerves from here to the brain, the part of the brain that deciphers the message coming from eyes and whatnot. So while it may so happen that a particular individual may not have external organs or may not be able to hear, but they yet have a sense of that's there in their brain, right? And that or some part of that organ system in existence. That's why while they may not have a functioning eye or a functioning ear, or they may not be able to speak, but that doesn't make them a lower being. They are still Sanghi Panchendri or Seni Panchendri Jeev. Make sense? Right? So that's what we have to keep in mind. Also, there are some kids, I think this question got asked in my wife's Pathshala class. She teaches kids level, 1, 2 kids of lower ages. And one kid asked, like, how about butterfly? Right? So butterfly is born as what? A caterpillar, right? And then it becomes a pupa, and then from pupa comes a butterfly. So is it like that Jeev butterfly is changing its life form from being a caterpillar, like a two indri Jeev, a worm, and then become a pupa, which is like practically dormant, so become an ajeev, and then finally become a butterfly, which is a char indri Jeev? Does it happen like that? What do you think? Can a jeev in its same life form change from being a ekendri jeev to do indri jeev to teen indri jeev to char indri jeev? That's what the concept is.
Yeah,
Do you think so?
yeah.
Okay. How about you, Mihika?
I also think it's possible.
Okay. How about I say no, it is not possible. So what is happening there is it's changing its structure. Yet, in all the states, they yet have the grown organs, right? So they are Right from their get-go, when a jeev is destined to become a butterfly, that jeev is has taken the life form of charindri jeev. If I'm, yeah, give me a second. I was trying to get to that part where butterfly is described. Yeah. So this is a butterfly, right? And butterfly is a, yeah, is a charindri jeev. Okay. Yeah. So so what is happening there is their organs are have not fully expressed themselves. They are changing their forms as per their trajectory. Same thing for human beings, right? Every human being is born as a fetus. When they arrive in, a soul bonds with the karmic particles and forms a body, first they form a fetus. How small is a fetus? Does fetus have all fully grown five organs? No. But yet they have the consciousness which is directed towards the development of those five organs, right? Same example like what we used for a blind person. A blind person is a blind person, but that doesn't make them as a lower, like a charindri jeev. Same is the case with these butterflies also. Irrespective of what state they are in their evolution, in their life journey, they yet have the four organs, the four senses present there. It may not be fully exhibited or expressed, but it is yet there. Make sense? So, in the same life form, in the same life, a jeev cannot change itself from being themselves from being a ekendriya to do indriya to teen indriya to char indriya or vice versa. It's not possible. They arrive when they are born. They are born and bonded with the karmic particles, which are give them a particular type of life form for that life. Later lives, they can very well become whatever they become, depending on the type of karma, type of actions and reactions they would have done. है ना? So that's very important to understand. So this was a question asked by one of the kids, like, is this how it happens? And that's how my wife also explained it. Okay. So keep that in mind. This could be a trick question to your parents also. है ना? Okay. Any other question, beta? Mika? Quite
No.
simple, right? No, nothing very, it's like, how what you learn in your, bio classes also, right from kindergarten, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
the type of concept it is. However, there are some nuances or some important things we should keep in mind, like as per Jainism, even air, vayu, your water, your soil, all are life forms. They are life in themselves, right? And that's why, it is very important for us to make best efforts, possible efforts to save them, right? Now think of it from even ecological perspective. That's exactly what we talk about. We should not do pollution. No air pollution, no water pollution, no pollution of the soil, or we should try to plant more trees so that soil erosion can be prevented, and so on and so forth, right? how how best think of it, like modern sciences are only in 19th century modern sciences accepted the fact that plants have life or consciousness. Our science, our Jain principles were knowing about it since the days of Mahavir Bhagwan. Isn't that something we should be proud of? Modern sciences at this point may not be thinking that, fire on its own has life, because it has not yet proven it with experiments. But that doesn't mean it is not there. It's just that it's waiting for you to do there to come up with the right experiment and prove it. Make sense? Okay. So I think we have covered the topic we were supposed to cover today. If you don't have any questions, we'll do Jinwani Stuti and we'll end the class early today. How about that? Okay, beta. So let's do Jinwani Stuti. जावाणी के ज्ञान से सूझे लोकालोक, तेवाणी मस्तक धरूं सदा देहूं धोक। हे जिनवाणी भारती माँ तोहे जपूं दिन रैन, जो तेरी शरणा गए माँ तो सो पावे सुख चैन। Jai Jinan बच्चों, उत्तम क्षमा. I seek forgiveness for anything I would have said to you that may have hurt your feelings. So, I'm doing Uttam Shama or Michhami Dukram.
Uttam Shama
Jai
Michhami.
Jinan,
Jai
and we
Jinan.
see you in
Bye.
the next class, next Sunday.
See you.
Jai
Bye.
Jinan, beta.
Yes.
Jai Jinendra.